Greetings, everyone. It is Linda Talaferro from the T, the Extra Effort, where I help professionals get unstuck, strengthen key interpersonal skills so they can get their desired seat at the table. Whatever that seat looks like, I help you reach that destination. So tonight, I'm going to continue to talk about things that are challenging us day to day. Tonight, and specifically, I want to talk about how to adapt to organizational change and really how to adapt to change, period, whether it be in our organizations, in our careers, or in our lives. As you know, I often say that who we are professionally is who we are personally. The two of them are not separate. So, what I'm going to talk about tonight, I believe will help you in general, but definitely because we are in some very strange times, very uncertain times, and we're dealing with change practically every day. I thought I would share the 5 things that I adapt that help me deal with change on a regular basis, and in particular, change in my career, organizational change. You've already dealt with one organizational change, most of us have, and that is working remotely. For a lot of us, working remotely has not been 100% part of our day to day activities. We usually go into the office, but we have dealt with for now weeks one major change, and that's how do I show up? How do I be strong? How do I continue to beat my goals working remotely? So that is one organizational change. And there are going to be many. When we get on the other side of this situation and we go back into our offices, things are going to look different. We are actually going to engage differently. So there's going to be change ever present around us. And so the first thing I want to share with you is our mindset about change. What is always constant is change. So I would implore to you to, first of all, shift your mindset about it. A lot of times when we think of change, we think of it in a very negative sense, as if it's something that's going to affect us in such a way that we can't manage it. But we can, because one thing that is constant is change. So if we shift our perspective, shift our mindset, shift our paradigm, that's one way to help us adapt to it when it does occur. Another way is to focus on the value that you bring. What do you bring in your role to that organization that you're in? Focus on the value that you bring and strengthen in areas that you may need to strengthen in. That's another way you can adapt to change. If you focus on yourself, not worry about what's going on around you, be self-aware, know things that you need to adapt and strengthen, do that so that you can continue to show up, be strong, be present in the midst of the change that's happening around you. So first of all, shift your paradigm about what change is, because it's ever constant. So shift that negative perspective and then focus on the value that you bring. And where you have opportunity to strengthen, do so. The third that I would offer to you is to be flexible. Flexibility can be a superpower. I just thought of that actually as I was talking. Flexibility can be a superpower. In the midst of crisis, in the midst of this uncertain situation that we're dealing with, in the midst of working differently than we ever have, and then thinking about what that's going to look like as we go back into our roles in the organizations, being flexible and being able to move and go with the flow, let's for lack of better terms, let's say, will be a strength for you. Will be a strength for you. Because there'll be other people that will not be able to manage within the crisis situation. They will not be able to manage within something that looks unfamiliar to them, something that's completely different. They will not be able to manage it. But if you turn flexibility into a superpower for yourself, strengthen it, become that person that can adapt, that can move and ebb and go with how things are flowing differently, then you rise to the top. People will be looking at you and saying, okay, what does he have? What does she have? I need some of that. Or they'll be looking at you and saying, you know what? They're handling themselves well. They're showing up strong. They're flexible. They're the person. That's the person we want for that initiative. That's the person we want to lead this next program we have. So flexibility as a superpower. I love that. I love that. Flexibility as a superpower. The next one I would offer to you is the fourth one is to be prepared. Prepare now. Prepare now for the change that you're going to encounter when you get back into the office space. You've already had to do some preparation because you're working remotely. So you had to get used to new technology. You had to get used to how to connect with people differently. You had to be intentional about your schedules and making sure that you fit in breaks for yourself. So you're moving around and taking care of yourself, your health and your body. So taking care of yourself. And at the same time, intentional about building relationships and connecting with individuals because you're doing it differently. It's not as easy as to see them in the cafeteria or walk down the hallway and run into them. So you've already done some preparation. The key is to continue that as we move through the situation that we're in now and we get back into our work environment. For some of us, we're going to be changing work environments. The opportunity, the roles that we've had in the past have moved on, and now we're moving into new roles or we're searching for new roles. All of that requires preparation. So let me go through the four that I've talked about before because my fifth one I love. It's something that I've carried around for a while, and I'm going to read it to you. So I'm going to revamp on the fourth ones just to make sure that we're real clear. So first I said, change is ever present. Constant, one thing that's constant is change. And so you're going to shift your paradigm about what change means so you don't look at it so negatively. And then I talked about focusing on your strength. What are the values that you bring to the table and strengthening where you need to? The third one I talked about was being prepared, doing what you need to do to be prepared. And then I talked about flexibility as a superpower. I think I thought flexibility was third and then prepared was fourth, but flexibility as a superpower. I talked about those. So those were the four that I talked about. And the fifth one I think we can take with us no matter the situation, whether we're dealing or adapting to change, whatever that comes our way. This fifth one I think is powerful. And I actually want to read this to you. Have you ever heard of a gentleman by the name of Charles Swindoll? If you haven't, Google him, look him up. You'll love his quotes. One in particular is going to stay with you. And I'm actually only going to read half of it because it's fairly long, but it's the second half that I think is my fifth and powerful step in adapting to change that I really want for you to latch on to. And it actually, now that I think about it, it actually touches on shifting your paradigm about what change is. It actually talks about how you are prepared. It actually talks about being flexible. So it talks about everything that I've shared so far. So I'm going to read the portion of this that I think is just so perfect for this topic tonight. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we embrace for the day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. So I will leave you with that tonight. My 5 ways to adapt to change in the organization, adapt to change in any aspects of our professional lives, and adapt to change in our personal lives. It is possible to manage what is however constant And that is change. Take care. See you next Tuesday.